Nice. All right. That's a good one. Yes.
Last year, I helped 2 people buy a home, and since I've been here for 5 weeks, I have a buyer in contract, and I've had 4 listings.
Wow. Nice.
To like the resources they offer a house.
Oh, how nice. Yeah. And you came from a small independent company and they're cool guys. They just kind of told you, hey, really don't have any training for you. Yeah. And it can work, but it sure work. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. The other thing, and I give you credit, when you came on board, you're like, well, wait a minute. I can come in that office every day and kind of hang out with you guys and listen to what you have to say. And it seems to be working. Okay. Success leaves clues, guys. Okay. I'm pushing. I'm working with Caesar in the budget to see if I can get the little thing time clock thing. We time in. We'll know how many hours you guys put in the office per week. I think it'd be fun, don't you? Who else? Tell me something good. Anybody play golf? Jake, did you play golf this week? Today? Okay, good. Glad you're here. Todd.
Went down to Springfield, the alma mater, this weekend, and saw our older big sister perform at halftime of the girls' basketball game for Sugar Bear. She was on the dance team down there. So it's 50-year anniversary of that. Had a lot of fun. Stayed to Springfield itself, had a blast, and great fun.
Nice. It's the Branson way. Yeah. Yeah. Our older sister, she was like, she went down to Springfield when it was called, Southwest Missouri State. Didn't you guys remember that? Yeah. Thank you. You went there. That's right. So my sister goes down there, blazes a trail. She's the first homecoming queen in the history of her sorority. She gets on the dance team called the Sugar Bears and really didn't have a lot of experience in that stuff, but somehow became captain of that. So enough of that crap about her, right? And then now she's just retired as the superintendent of one of the largest school districts in the state of Texas that had 80,000 students. So we call her Little Hitler. She's a little girl about this tall, red hair, mean as a snake sometimes. She's the velvet hammer. She'll smile at you and pat you on the back, and then at the same time, kick you in the belly a little bit. So, and then there's Todd and I. So I don't know what happened. My mom and dad were 1 for 3, I guess, right? My mom and dad have told us that many times over the years. What else? Come on. Let's get some energy going, guys. I got a lot of stuff. I'm waiting. What the heck? Women and men. Yeah. Hey, that's their sport too. That was amazing. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, I'm sure it's out there where you can play it back. The women's too. The women's were on the ropes. They somehow got it into overtime and won. The men's thing was amazing. I had a pickleball match, so I watched the men's thing until overtime started, and I had to go to the match, right? So I'm at the match. I'm like, nobody tell us if they won. And all of a sudden I hear this roar coming from the club. I'm like, okay, that's great. That means we won. But yeah, how cool is that? And then the way those guys afterwards, if you heard their speeches, it was pretty impressive. Just, what they had to say and how they went about their business. And now they get to go, I think, visit with the president and all that kind of stuff. And all politics aside, if you let me go see the president, I'm going to go see him. I don't care who the president is. It's just me. What else? What else we got? Stop it. More. I'm standing up here till I get 3 more. Yeah. How about that? We're going to talk about that here in just a second too. Good to know this. Good to know these stats. Good to know this data, guys. People are going to start asking you, hey, how's the market? How's the market? There's a couple trends that we'll talk about here in just a second that are really, really important. What else? Come on. Anybody have anything fun in their world? Yes, Alex.
In the past, I heard all the agents saying, I help this family or this person buy the first house after a year. I'm like, that's a long time. I don't think I could do that. But yesterday, I closed a deal with a client of mine. We were working for a year. Last year, we were almost done with the deal, but it fell through.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad and all this stuff. So we kept working and finally closed it yesterday. And not only that, last year he was going to buy a $300,000 house. This year he bought $350,000.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome. Good job. Give it up for Alex. All right. So, hey, some of these buyers take a while. Would you guys agree? Has anybody worked with anybody like more than a year? More than 2 years? 936 days? Okay, that might be the record that I've heard of, right? But here's the thing. Sometimes you engage people. We're going to talk about engagement a lot. Sometimes you engage people and they're just not at the right place. You can send them all the houses you want. It's just not pull the trigger time. But what you're doing is just establishing the relationship. So when the time is right, you guys get that, right? Sometimes you have people that have really unique buyer needs, that what they really want that will make them move isn't available right now. You know, they want that perfect acreage. It's exactly what they always dreamed of, not just one of the 5 you sent them. They want that exact thing. So sometimes we just have to wait. People have specific needs. They want a lakefront home. They want a certain an equestrian home. Not many of those on the market. So everybody has kind of a different wish list and a different priority. But if you'll put these people in your pipeline, and pipeline to me is anybody I'm engaging in some fashion. And I'm looking at that list on my desk at all times. And I'm like, ooh, I need to really touch base with the Johnsons and see if they're still prepping their house to possibly go on the market early summer, like we discussed over the holidays, that kind of thing. These buyers might have been in your pipeline per se. Maybe it wasn't a formal pipeline, but 900 something days pipeline, but they were there either in your mental space or one way or another. I do believe we need to be more structured. Nanette and I have lost deals over the years just because we lost track of the people. Right? I have. You probably haven't. Yes, you have. I know you have. I was just waiting for you to own up to it. So, yeah. And it's kind of expensive when it happens. You know, even our team, our average sales price is $450. So that's $12,000, $13,000 every time we make that mistake. So we kind of kick ourselves. And then we look back, and what usually happens or happened is we just didn't have the system sharp enough to keep good track of the people. And so it's on us. One more. Give me one more good thing before I wrap anymore. Who else? Come on, Jay.
We had the first Young Professionals trivia night the other night. That was pretty fun.
Okay.
So we had girls versus boys, and then girls won.
I would have, knowing the group, I would have expected that.
So that was pretty fun.
Double sudden death. Okay.
Tiebreaker and tied again. Another tiebreaker.
Okay.
So,
What were some of the questions? I remember you shared one or two that was fun.
first question was who the office looks like to draw a triangle.
Did anybody miss that? That would worry me a little bit.
And there was another one, like a basic picture of Ryan Finn. And I said, which one of our owners is it? They had to figure out who it was.
Yeah.
And then, Miss Kay had her license the longest in 1979. And then Laura was second in 1980.
Nice.
So there's some of those, it was pretty fun.
Good. You're going to do it again, I assume, next quarter, or what are you looking at?
Finding people in it. We're trying to figure out.
Hey, that could be more spirited competitions, though, when you have the people above that age group and below it, you know, with different. Yeah. Let's use like the category 1980s. Let's see how you guys do in that one. All right, vendors, we're moving fast. We're moving swift. Paul, we got 2 chairs here. You only need 1. Lisa, lead us off. Give it up for Lisa.
We start Finson next week.
Yay. What's Finson?
We're going to need seller buyer phone numbers and email addresses. If they're using a hard bank lender, we need their phone number, email addresses. The Finson docs themselves, they have to be typed. They can't be handwritten. It is a requirement so that there's not any confusion on what is actually supposed to be written there versus what the vets can read. And then I was asked about lenders if they are AML approved. So that's that's what they've gone through with the government through the banking and all of that they've already passed all of the requirements that they vet their borrowers through kind of a whole Finson situation. So that if they're AML approved, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be fine. So, thanks, guys.
Awesome, Lisa. Less than 90 seconds. Todd Branson, you're on the clock. Give it up for Todd.
So I'll take the rest of her time.
Right.
All right. So when I'm recruiting somebody to become a loan officer, one thing I always tell them is that, what separates a good lender from a great lender is the ability to hit a curveball.
Christian, you played baseball at a high level. You remember the first time you saw a curveball?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. You ever try to hit one? Because when it drops from your chin to your feet and you're like, unexpectedly, sometimes as a loan company, things like that happen to you. And so, Jake, we just had a big closing last week. That was Ryan Finn's big listing out on acreage, just what, 750? And I was doing the loan for the buyer. And in the process, when somebody's, she was older and she had a $1 million farm that they were going to leave and move to this property. Well, there was no time to sell the farm first. So Todd's got to figure out how to get her qualified for the purchase and retain the home until she can get that sold down the road. Anyway, so candidly, she didn't make enough money. So, but she had a ton of assets. So here's where this comes into play. The assets can actually play as income. And most people don't know that. They look at, Social Security, pensions, things like that, and they gather up that data. But we are allowed on a conventional loan to use assets as income under special circumstances. So long story short, she had millions of dollars in annuities. We were able to use some of that income. Underwriting needed me to get one more piece of documentation to show it. And the financial advisor, her 80-year-old brother, said no, he wasn't going to give me that. So about 7 days prior to closing, the deal's dead. So instead of letting the deal die, the curveball, we decided that I had the whole family on a conference call, like 8 people. And I said, the only way to fix this is to get a cosigner. One of you step up and cosign with mom to get into this house. Crickets. So the next morning, though, Jake tells me, hey, the daughter's willing to cosign. So we spend the next 2 hours getting her, she's in Illinois, getting her all of her cosign docs, boom, boom, had it approved by the end of the day. 7 days prior to closing, it's the minimum time frame on a home loan due to just trade rules, and closed it on time.
Wow.
So was it a curveball? Yeah. Was it scary and ugly for a minute? I actually was walking toward Jake and going, we're gonna have to go tell Ryan this deal's gonna get pushed. We're gonna have to figure something out. Well, Ryan's people, of course, have already got their trains rolling down the track, ready to move and take their money. So thankfully we had that other option. But that brother who was a financial advisor that wouldn't give me the documentation, he told me that my sister has no business buying this house. She doesn't need to move. All this stuff. So I knew I was in trouble a little bit right there, right? And so anyway, it worked. Jake was amazing and patient, and Ryan and Stephanie super patient and amazing for us to get this thing done. But what separates a good lender from a great lender is the ability to figure stuff out on the fly. Thanks.
Thanks, Todd. Okay, Rustlin's in Atlanta. Do we have any other vendors here that I miss? We're good? We're good? Hey, I gotta, by the way, John Bain, say hi. Who knows John in here? He's got a nobody? Stop it. John and I have been good friends for a long time. And you haven't heard this story, John, you do a little bit of like acting and commercials and stuff, right? So he's kind of a big deal. Have you guys heard this story? I'm on the East Coast. It's a political season and we're watching TV. I'm a couple glasses of wine in, shocker. And I turn on the TV in whatever, Greenville, South Carolina, wherever we're at. And there's a commercial and I look at the guy in there and he's sitting on the porch and he's having a good, and he's the key guy in the whole national commercial. And I'm looking and my wife goes, that's John Bain. And I go, it can't be. We're on the East Coast. This is a national commercial. Was it you? Yeah. Did you make big bucks on that? Not good enough. I thought that. But anyway, so if anybody needs any help in the acting world and all that, John's your connection there. And every once in a while, we talk him into selling a house or two, right? Well, we did talk you into buying a fourplex, and now you have an amazing investment property. Yeah, he's got the best fourplex of anybody I know. Let's talk calendar for just a second. This is Brandy's part, so help me. Monday, Dot Loop. We already had that, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, good. How'd that go? We didn't have it? Okay, move on. Team meeting. How's that going? All right, that's it. Tomorrow, let's talk about Charles Starkey. Who is going to be able to carve out an hour or so to be here for that? Okay, here's the deal. Don't come and give me any of this crap about I need an accountant. I don't know, my accountant stinks and all that. If you're not willing to sit down and listen to what this guy has to say. If you're in real estate and you run a business, I would suggest if you can't be there, figure out how to either get a one-on-one with this guy or your personal accountant and decide who's better. Okay. This is a big deal for people running real estate businesses. He understands the agent who's just getting in the business as well as the seasoned agent that's been here a long time. He understands people that are at income level here and an income level here. And by the way, they have to be coached and consulted completely differently. Okay. And a lot of these accountants are trying to grab brand new agents who don't even have any revenue yet, create them into a C Corp or an S Corp or whatever Corp, some kind of Corp, and they're not quite ready for that. That could be the very logical step, but let's wait until we're ready to take that step. Does that make sense? I had a great meeting with him. That was the one aha I had in the fourth quarter is more and more you people that would come in and talk to me were really having trouble with taxes and understanding getting a good accountant. And I hate my guy or I hate my gal or whatever that was. So we went and had personal interviews. I did with 2 different people that I like and a third actually that I don't like. But nonetheless, and this guy by far was the guy. He's on Main Street in Belton. He's like most accountants are a little quirky. Okay. That's why they're in accounting. All right. And they're not in sales. They're not selling houses for a reason. Okay. But he knows his stuff and he's very, very relatable. And I think that's sometimes a little hard to find. We have a great accountant in Johnson County, but he's in one of those glass high rises, drives a fancy car, not the guy you want for your accountant. I can assure you. Yeah.
I'll add on to that for Charles. Anybody that knows Kent Lindstrom, Charles is the same kind of guy. He is going to take care of you first and foremost over himself, which is what we all had.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And by the way, he doesn't care if he adds you as a client. I can tell you that right now, Charles. He would like to if you're a good fit. And he loves to have coffee on Main Street in Belton at that little fancy coffee shop. All right, moving on. Sold Mastermind. When we started Sold Mastermind, it was so we had another educational opportunity, and it was really designed for agents kind of that are capper and above initially. And then we expanded it to everybody because we realized that people on the call need to hear these conversations. So we opened it to everybody and we called it the Thursday 30 and all that. Well, the Thursday 30 is usually between 20 and 23. So I don't know why. I don't want to look anybody in the eye, but get your, you know what, on that call on Thursdays. Participate, ask questions. Camille's not here today, but she did a great job. She joined the call. We had to get her the connection and all that, how to get on the call, but she was on it and she participated and she knows her stuff. She's been with us a long time. She's an extremely knowledgeable agent. But she just had an incident. I hope this doesn't happen to any of you guys. She called me on Sunday night and said, hey, can we talk in the morning? I got a problem on a deal. Her problem on the deal, the seller died during the transaction. What happens? Okay, after you soil yourself, what happens, right? So it can be rather complicated. So now they're turning over the rocks to see, is there a path for her buyer to still get this home, given who now owns the house and things like that. So that would have been had that happened the week before, that would have been a great thing for her to bring up. And once she kind of tells us how this goes down, I want her to discuss that on the call. So Camille, if you're listening, share with us how that ends up turning out. You guys bring so many cool situations to our leadership team and our broker. And then sometimes you go and figure it out. And we never know how it got worked out. Okay. So this is a great opportunity to hear other people solving problems that you may end up having down the road. Okay. Don't invent any new problems if you would, because we kind of like working with the ones we know how to solve. Friday, fair housing, continuing ed. I think, are there any more spots left on this? Where's Laura? No. Is it full? Okay. Full. That's good. It was open for a long time, so sorry about that. Next week, 10 a.m., launch your career, all about lead gen, focus group. The focus group will be back on track as soon as Brandy gets back in the office. You can count on that. Team meeting again. Mastermind, looks like I'm hosting, so that we better get 30 people on there because I would like to golf that day, so I won't golf. What else? Taxes, let's talk about Charles. Yeah, we just did that. So you guys, taxes in real estate is the biggest problem for people early in their career, especially when you get some momentum and you're used to making this, I'm paying little or no taxes. And then all of a sudden we bump you up. Okay. By the way, that's our goal, right? Our goal is to take your business to that level. And if you want the next level, and if you want the Scott Swaggart level, let's call it swag level. Okay. With that is big tax obligations, big liabilities. How do we avoid some of those taxes? You start thinking totally differently when you own those kind of businesses. So March 2nd, lead gen and role play. You guys, these two words, I think, scare our agents more than anything. They just do. Sorry about that. But those two words are what creates the income that most of us are seeking. Okay, next. What we got? New agent lunch. Anybody know anything about this?
Yep.
Todd, tell us.
We're hosting that next Wednesday. Yeah, I can't read that. But hosting that at Tina. So new agents, I believe Lisa and I. Yep. So
Cool. Hey, speaking of new agents, you're getting into the business. Let's say it's your first year in the business and it's 2026. Let me tell you what it used to look like a long, long time ago. Todd doesn't even remember these days. This is a mortgage payment table book that goes from 6% to 16%. This is how you calculated people's house payments in the 80s. You didn't have the computers like we have now. You went in here and you said, how much did they borrow? And use a money factor at 16.8% or whatever it is. And that's how you calculated people's payment. Do we have it good now? Okay. It's crazy. Darren and I, when we first got in, we would show houses and we had a book, and that's the listings in Belton, Missouri. And you'd thumb through it to see which one you wanted to show, not knowing if it was even under contract or not. You would just get on the phone and keep calling and finding out, then having to call and get an appointment. There was no co-op system like there is now. Just a totally different world. I'll pass this around just because this is a dinosaur. I think it's interesting. You might not. Todd, you ever seen one of these? Yeah, I figured you had. Thankfully, you didn't have to use one, right? Yeah. Yeah. The little index card. Okay, March 10th, Dogwood Gardens Peculiar. We're doing our annual awards for 2025. I don't care if you think you're getting an award or not getting an award. Please attend. This is a chance to honor the people that hit the podium, for lack of a better term. And we have a lot of new faces that got on the podium, so that's kind of cool. But it's a chance to celebrate. Brandy's put a lot of time and energy, and you know when Brandy sets something up, it's usually top notch. This will be too. So if she's listening, Brandy, now you really have to make it sing. March 10th, so make it happen. I'm not sure if people have asked me how long will it last. As long as we want it to last, okay? A couple hours probably. Is that cool? Buyers, sellers, and open houses. This is the meat and potatoes of this meeting. This is where we talk about listings that are coming on the market, maybe changes on your listings, pre-MLS, buyers, and open houses. Who wants to lead us off? Jake, you first.
I got one that's on 5 acres, 3-bedroom staff, new house, new roof, new septic, fully updated at 325.
Wow.
In Garden City, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Garden City, Archie area.
Hence the 325, right? If it was closer in, it wouldn't be 325. That's the deal. So people, people want to get the deal. They sometimes have to drive just a little further, maybe a little gravel road here or there. So gravel, what's that?
A lot of deer out there too.
A lot of deer. See, there's always a plus. Jen?
So I have my Drexel listing for 4-5 East Hickory. We're doing an open house this Sunday from 1 to 4, and we'll be lowering the price to $238, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, corner lot with basement.
Perfect.
We've
All right.
renovated, will go USDA.
So nice and clean, USDA eligible, so we don't need down payment monies, right? Todd, no down on USDA, right? Hadn't changed. What was the price again?
242 right now. We're going to be
Okay.
taking it to 38 this Sunday.
Okay, so in town, right? In town Drexel. Yep. Tony.
It was live Friday out in nowhere, Butler, 360, 3-bed, 2-bath, and 6 acres out in.
Okay, good. Butler. We're doing a lot of business in Butler. I looked at our closings. James McClay is, of course, the mayor of Butler, but we're doing a lot down there. Yeah, Tricia. Who wants to hold that open?
Anyway, listed at 130, completely redone, within the last couple of years. So you roof windows,
Nice.
you name it. Then I have one in Canaan coming on the market in March 6th. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, acre lot. I'm gonna go on at 355.
Freeman.
Right on my
Okay. Somebody loan her some specs, please. That was 455. Anything else? Wait. Okay. Good. Who else? Buyers, sellers, open houses. Joanna.
I've got one on Redbridge, 1208 East Redbridge Road. It's a nice 4-bedroom, 3-bath house with 2,100 square foot. It's nice, been redone, bathrooms have been redone, kitchen's been remodeled, going on at 330 next on the 5th.
Good. That's a good little area. That should do well for you. Really good. Yes.
I've got buyers, first time homebuyers need USDA, booking anywhere, preferably not in Castle Jackson, so they need to lower taxes for payment purposes. But anywhere within a 45-minute radius of Lee Summit is where it works.
Okay.
And then we've got a listing in Adrian Live, 450 ranch, a little over 200, a little over 2,200 square feet. True 4-bedroom, could be a 5th bedroom, kind of a flex space there.
Cool. All right. What else? Yeah, Paulie.
I've got a price change coming in Peculiar, one of my longest listings in a while, it's 47 days. $995 Hurley, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, side to side split. We had no showings for a week or so, because we did the foundation work, and the exterior, it's really pretty ready to go. It's got vintage kitchen cabinets, not old, but vintage, and it'll be 225, maybe around today's 235.
Perfect. Buyer sellers, open houses, Sandy.
4-bedroom, 1 report, and they did have foundation issues, got them on the lifetime warranty on that. And new carpet.
Nice. Nice and clean. I like those price ranges that I'm hearing. Those things should turn. If they're even in the rural areas, that helps sometimes when that price range is down a little bit. Yeah.
That one is kind of pretty no less beginning of March. But it'll go live in April. 5-bedroom, 3-bath, on 3.5 acres, Lee Summit, prior. Probably gonna be right under 800, that 65/40 shop.
Hmm.
Everything but the foundation is on the house. We may have an original wall, but I mean, every single thing in this house.
Was it a fire or something, or what happened? Oh, okay.
My in-laws, it's their neighboring property, and they're trying to bump their property value up, so they put a couple $100,000 in.
I see. Interesting. I hope that works for him. That's kind of a cool strategy.
Pleasant Hill, Harrisonville, anywhere south like that. 350 to 380 price range. She's just her, but she kind of likes a cottage kind of look. She's open to a couple acres. Doesn't have to have acres, though, just sort of that privacy kind of feeling. So kind of a rural area.
Yeah, but the price range should be suited for something. Maybe not, the acreage part might be hard to pull off.
Yeah, she doesn't necessarily want acres, but the privacy of it.
Yeah.
Feel of it, some trees.
Okay. Anybody got anything like that? Think about it. Okay. What else? Buyer sellers. Yep. Jen again. Again.
2-bath, conventional only, and we're looking closer to about 130.
Okay. And Rich Hill. How far is that from here?
Minute and a half?
Minute and a half? By what? Email? Okay. 57 miles to Rich Hill. Good to know. See, we all learned something today. Who knows where Rich Hill is? Oh, you guys have sold houses? Okay. Sorry. All right. We're all about Rich Hill now. It's got to be closer than that place up north we were doing deals. Where was that? It was like not Trenton, but it was up near Trenton or something. We had an agent do 2 deals and all of a sudden somebody else had one up there. Anyway. All right. Who else? Anybody else? Yes, Shelby.
House that is owned by.
Oh,
Not a flipper.
gotcha. Cool. Perfect. Perfect. Is anybody stuck in any listings? Like I've got something and it's got some days on the market and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Tony, let me guess. Tell us about it, Tony.
At 418.8, we're been on there for over 7 months. So when your sellers don't start out with what you're suggesting, this can be things that happen from the data and goes against what they want. Here we are, 7 months later. Anybody want to go take a run? Take a run. You know, you remember you want to play trivia, your parents want to look for a play.
I had my second canceled listing in 10 years yesterday. Finally decided it was time to cut ties. The guy, it's in KCK, he was 11 months behind on payments. has
Okay.
no homeowner's insurance, and really doesn't want to call the mortgage company, talk about a short sale, so I said, well, we're stuck. I can't help you anymore. They turn power off, so there's nothing we could do, so I canceled it.
Yeah.
He signed, so now,
Perfect.
kind of sucked, but, wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you need to work on anything else that you can't get paid on? I don't know about you, but when I know I can't get paid, I want to give them the best advice possible and a little pat on the back and let them go.
Yeah, once he said he doesn't care if it's foreclosed on, I'm like, I don't think we're done.
Yeah. There's motivated seller and then there's that guy,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Silas, what do you got, buddy?
I was gonna put a quick filler out. I've got, some friends of mine. It sounds like, they're gonna buy my neighbor's house. But they've got a house to sell, so it could be cool to, get it done, off market or whatever. So, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,600 square foot slab ranch, in a good neighborhood, plus I know 285. So if someone has a buyer that might be interested, text me, figure something out. So it'd just be nice to.
Yeah.
in-house.
Yeah. Don't hesitate to lob that on the Facebook page, just in case somebody's looking at that for sure. Yes.
Totally.
One that's selling. And if I don't live right around 305, 310, 3 bedroom staff split. And everything's pretty nice. We're gonna just gotta redo the master bath. It's just kind of something crazy kind of walk. But it's a beautiful instant flat yard over off like on George Lincoln. That'll be probably first April.
Perfect. Let's talk. Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
One Cimarron Trails coming up, 2 bath, 1 bath upstairs, finished basement, non-conforming third, second, full bath. Mid 160.
Without going too far out, a lot of times you guys get buyers that need to stay under 200,000 and you find yourself here, something pops up and 11 people are chasing it, especially if it's loan eligible and in decent shape at all. Almost doesn't exist. We're getting really close to that. Cimarron Trails is the fallback, if you ask me.
Put it on the inside, so you're not even sharing a wall.
Cimarron Trails, you get a garage or a carport. They have basements. Some are even finished. I don't think we've broken 200,000 in there yet. If we have, maybe once or twice. So it's the under 200K market, 150 to 200. Great access. You can jump on the highway really quick from Cimarron. There's a lot to like for that price. That is a great place for somebody to get started personally. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, they're attached. So sorry about that. They're attached. But, at the end of the day, especially when the garages are in the middle, they're attached, but it creates a little bit of a buffer there. Has anybody sold a house in Cimarron before? Yeah, it works. Yeah, you owned one. That's right. Well, I own it.
Great place to restart too, after divorce.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, we have clients who've done the exact same thing. All right. Anybody else on that stuff? Good. Here's a stat I want you guys to think about. So for January, your board, this is really important. Your realtors, people are going to ask you, hey, what's going on in the market? The board of realtors units for January were up 3.1% in Kansas City. So we saw a little bit of bump versus January of last year. Remember how we said this year is going to be a smoker? Okay. The first sign of that is continued growth in the number of sales. Now, average sales price, were prices going up or down? In Kansas City Metro, the average sales price went up 6% January over January. So 6% higher. That means houses are still appreciating and there's more of them being sold. Is that good for us? More commissionable dollars. You guys get that? Okay. Really important. And so that's great news, great news. Here's the news that you want to also think about. Average days on market, 58 days. Okay. That's up 18% from January of last year. Okay. So let's just round it off and say 20%. So the average sales taking 2 months. You guys get that? Now that you're like, well, most of the ones I see are selling faster than that. Well, then you also have the ones that are taking 120, 180 days, 200 days and all that. So that's about the highest average days on market we've had in a long time. Okay. So again, you guys get these listings and if you're panicking after 2 weeks, what did we say the average days on market is? By the way, you all have that in your email. You're members of the board. This came right from what was sent to all of you. Print it, have it in your file, share it with people. So good news, not necessarily bad news, but news we must share or we're going to be under the gun on these listings. Now in Cass County, I found this really interesting. Yes, they were up in units. Yes, they were up in price. And Cass County can be a little more volatile because it's not as big a data pool as all of Kansas City Metro. You guys understand how that can be important. Average days on market in Cass County. Does anybody know? Close. Ooh, Gentile. Almost got you there. 75 days. Okay. Now we've broken above 60 days for January in Cass County. So 2.5 months is the average. Quit freaking out when it doesn't sell on the first weekend. You guys get that? That days on market has been just slowly kind of trend. Some months it doesn't go, but it's slowly trending into more days on market. Okay. That's good for us if we know how to run that play. If we don't know how to run that play, you'll never get a chance to participate in the sale. Okay. You've got to stay hired in these things. It's really, really important. Somebody wants to list a house for 60 days. Hey, I'm just going to give you this shot. Christian, you seem like a nice guy, but I'm wanting you to list for 60 days because, man, I don't know you. And you're going, well, sir, your house is in Cass County. The average house is selling in 75 days. I'd be signing a listing that sets me up for failure. I've told you I'm a pretty good business person. This would be a bad business decision to even sign this agreement. Why would we do that? Let's talk about that. Get that conversation going, especially when you have the data to support it. You're not making it up. Okay. So if you printed that sheet out, you can go, hey, Mr. Johnson, 75 is the average. Why would we do this? You can see why our listings are typically 90, 120. Mine are all 6 months, by the way, 6 months, whatever that is. Okay. Don't take those short listings, or at least explain to the people why you choose not to or don't want to. And if they're good people, they'll understand that. This is a business, folks. Yeah, but my house is way nicer than the average house. Maybe it is, but only time will tell, right? The market's bigger and smarter than all of us. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? Okay. You guys see it? You're seeing average days on market a little longer, right? Tony, you're really throwing off the numbers too with that house. We're selling that thing. We're going to have a big party. I don't know if we'll top Steve's sale that finally went through, but we'll enjoy that. All right, let's go on. What do I got next? Oh, me. Okay, good. My favorite topic. Let's talk about some stuff. All right. First of all, does everybody have one of these cost of waiting sheets? I have plenty if you need one. We need to talk about this. Okay. We're good. Anybody need one? Bueller? Okay. We pass those out to anybody that needs one. Okay. So here's what happened. Some of you guys were here, some weren't, but most of you remember the conversation. 2024, let's call it 2 years ago. Okay. 2 years ago, what was happening is rates had moved higher and buyers were not buying because rates had moved higher. In other words, affordability, all these things. Oh yeah, rates, I remember when rates were 3 and now they're telling me it's 6.5. That's bull. I'm not buying a house. All that stuff. I'm going to sign my lease and live with my parents in the basement. Here's what we have to understand at a high level. And by the way, we're working on creating one of these for you that you can have for your file. That's not just this. Okay. This one is one I threw together, but we've had this conversation before. 2 years ago is when we had this conversation. Now we can actually see how it played out. So here's what we got. In 2024, when we were rapping about this in the first quarter, a $300,000 house was about 6.5% to get a mortgage. Just go with that. Okay, Todd, don't argue. Let's just say the average person did an FHA loan and put around 10 grand down. Okay, work with me. All right. So they have a mortgage of 290. Does that math add up to you guys? We're good? Okay. That's the hard part. That mortgage payment, trust me on my math, was $1,832 plus taxes and insurance. That's the principal and interest part of the payment. You guys get that? Good. So Mr. Buyer in 2024 is like, oh man, I'm not doing this 6 anything. I'm just going to redo my lease. I'm not going to buy a house. I'm waiting 2 years or maybe 3, maybe longer. Who knows? So here's what happened to that guy. He did wait 2 years. Now it's 2026. The $300,000 house appreciated approximately 10%. 5% the last 2 years is really, really close. Okay. Some houses appreciated a little more, some a little less, but let's use that. I think that's a fair number. 300 just became 330. Good job. You cost yourself some money. Now, where he was right, rates did drop from 6.5 to 6. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. Same down payment. Now he's borrowing $320,000 for the same entry-level house in Raymore, Missouri. And how does payment do? Went up $80. You sat on the sideline for 2 years for an $80 a month higher payment because you were right a little bit about rates coming down a little bit, but prices ran right past that and you ended up losing money. How much money did you potentially lose? Something like this. Could have bought the house at $300,000. You're now paying $330,000. That's $30,000 in loss. Well, by the way, if you would have owned it for the last 2 years, you would have paid approximately $7,000 down on the principal, servicing the mortgage. You guys get that? So we'll just simply go your total cost to possibly get a lower payment ended up that strategy failed epically. You lost $37,000. 37. To me, that's a lot of money. I can tell you for most people buying their first house, $37,000 is a ton of money. Anybody have anything to add to that? Anybody have any buyer? Yeah, Tony, please. Yeah, where'd that money go? That didn't pay down anything. No tax deductible interest, none of that kind of stuff. And if you're paying rent, there's somebody telling you how to live in your property. There's something to be said for that. That's why home ownership is, John, why are you laughing? That's why home ownership is what people are seeking. So that's your cost of waiting. Now, this could have worked out better. Just so you know, if that rate would have dropped down to 5, which is kind of what I'm sure people were hoping for. In fact, we were thinking that wouldn't be totally crazy. Guess what? It still hasn't happened because of Todd. So then that payment does go below the payment he would have had in 2024. Okay. So from a payment standpoint, that would have worked. The other math is still the same. He spent $330 for a house he could have bought for $300, and he would have amortized a mortgage. So yeah, Jake. Yeah. That's the part that we don't have any way of knowing. Jake's point is, hey, if rates really went smoking low like that, guess what? He ain't getting that house for $330. It probably be $340 or $350. All that's probably true. This is just what we know. This is almost exactly how it played out when we were having this problem initially 2 years ago. I mean, there was a lot of buyers pumping the brakes, right? They were just like, man, this sticker shock of mortgage payments that Todd's quoting me, I'm just not doing it. So people need to understand this. Now, why could this be important? Okay, this already happened. How's this going to help me? Because you're going to have people still do this. The cost of waiting analysis is something you can constantly do. But being able to show them what the cost of waiting looked like over the last 2 years could be valuable, especially for a first-time home buyer. Todd, what do you got to add?
I have 2 or 3 people closing in March that had this exact scenario. And they're frustrated, but they didn't get it, the game a couple years ago. We had that discussion about waiting. But they realize now that they missed out, and that $60,000 that they gave up, they need to get that. So I put some strategies together to help them, and we'll get them into a house and home ownership. They'll start earning their own.
Yeah, and again, there were even people. Every once in a while, you hear the story of somebody's like, "Hey, I'm just waiting for prices to cool off or even go down." Okay, this form that you all have access to, feel free to grab one of these. This isn't the clearest copy, I might add, but this form would tell anybody who's rational that the idea that I'm going to sit on the sidelines for prices to go down, I could sit there until I retire. Okay, and that's the 30-year-old. I mean, you absolutely are going against the numbers if you're going to say that 7 of the last 75 years prices went down, but next year they're going to, and they might. But statistically, they likely won't. Remember, the 5 of the 7 years were the years 2007 through 2011, right? So we had that. Take that window, which was wackadoodle. That was the mortgage crisis, foreclosures everywhere. Pull that out for just a second. Then we're talking 2 years over 70 years. Only 2 went down other than the mortgage crisis. Todd.
Yeah, and that little 4 or 5 year blip of 7 to 11, the mortgage programs that were available in the early 2000s and late 90s that did end up having a lot of issues with foreclosure epidemic. Those are long gone. So people tell me all the time, like the housing market, the bubble is coming. I'm like, the strength of a loan today is so much better than it was in that late 90s, 2000 time frame. The documentation that's required, the credit profile, the down payment system, it's different. And so that said, we're not likely going to have that first bubble like we did in that 07.
Yeah. So I don't. Has anybody had anybody say they're waiting and hoping prices come down? It's pretty rare. Have you had that? Okay. So, and we don't know. I mean, sure enough, we could go 3 straight years and prices are flat or lower. Okay. They didn't go up nationally a lot last year because you had some markets that were straight up pull back and considerably, like 10, 15, 20%. But those markets like Austin, Texas people went up 150% over 6 years. I'll take a 30% pullback. Okay. Net, I'm up 120%. That's a good deal. So nationally, they were very flat. Here in Kansas City, kind of in that mid-single digits, which is, it's funny. That's where we land over and over and over again. By the way, the knucklehead guy that we just talked about that's going to wait 2 years because he's smarter than everybody else. What if One of those 2 years was what happened in COVID year, where things went up almost 15%. Wow. 1 year, he basically lost $45,000. You guys get that? As far as the cost of waiting. So if you hit one of those smoking years, by the way, we might have some really, really smoking years ahead. So let's talk about some other variables that this sheet doesn't talk about that I think you need to at least understand. Jake hit the nail on the head. If rates really did plummet and you're the smartest guy in the room, that 330 isn't going to be 330. It's most likely it's going to be higher. The other thing is these are entry-level cutie pie houses that we're using here. 300K, Belton Rainbow Peculiar, wherever, I don't care. God forbid Lee Summit. But nonetheless, guess what happens when the market's hot and somebody's trying to buy a 330 house? You think there might be other people trying to buy it? Think we might be in multiple bids? Might be doing all the tools that you guys have at your disposal, like multiple offer, winning on multiple offers. What do we got? Escalation clause? Think some appraisal waiver or partial waiver, inspection waivers, or doing the box 1, 2, or 3 dance. Remember those? Okay. So in a normal market, certainly the market of 2024, we had kind of gotten away from that a little bit. It had calmed itself, but more like it is now. Okay. It's good, but not great. Great means for the sellers that all those things are in play. Okay. So not only is this knucklehead lost $37,000, he's buying in an environment where he controls nothing. He probably isn't even going to get his first 3 houses he bids on. You guys get that? Because he's up against so much competition. God forbid he's up against the cash investor guys that come to the market occasionally. Okay. You think they win? Okay. Versus a guy over here getting his USDA loan? No. Or VA loan? No. The guy that's got cash is going to win over and over again, whether you like it or not, even if they're going to turn it into a rental. You guys get that concept? It isn't just the 37,000. It's all the other things that we don't know for sure, but will likely happen when a market gets really, really frothy. What else? You guys have anything to add to that? We get the concept? Anybody have any questions? Come on, hit me with 1, 2, 3. Jake, questions? Think of anything? Pretty cut and dry?
I would think of it like if I invest money in the market today, I guarantee it's going to go down. If I wait, it's going to go up. We're just kind of a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
We can't control the market, but I mean, we can try to predict it. It's just guess. You know, the only sustainable way to money is growth. I mean, if we're trying to flip it in 6 months, that's a different conversation by now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But think about the cost of waiting. It's just one of those things. Nobody has a crystal ball, but what we can do is I can tell you how the last 2 years would have worked. Okay. And that's how that would have worked. And it was a big problem. That's when the buyers really started pumping the brakes. And you could have made a case that, rates had moved up pretty quick. And Paul and I had many talks about this. And, there was a thought that if it went from 3 to 6, it would naturally retrace back into the low to mid 5s. That's the logic. That's actually what happens more often than not. And it didn't. Okay. So dumb us, right? Todd kept the rates up high, inflated. All right. So next topic, we're going to talk about, this should make you cringe if you're a real estate agent. Not as bad as taxes, but right up in that same category. And the term is structure. Okay. You guys heard, if you were on the call last Thursday, we talked a little bit about structure. At the end of the year, and usually January and even into February, that's when a lot of you guys stop in. Hey man, you got some time and you want to talk about what's working and what's not working. We usually talk about what's not working more than what's working, to be perfectly honest with you. But I like to ask them, hey, what do you feel like you're good at? You just told me the things you stink at. What are you good at? And if there's nothing to talk about, then we got a different problem. We got somebody who isn't good at anything, right? So, but what I see over and over again, and what I think can move the needle for almost everybody, is we've got to introduce some level of structure into a business that has no structure. Okay. So if Jake doesn't show up in this office, now he has space in the office, so we're used to seeing his smiling face. If he chooses to just hang out at home, go play golf like he's going to do this afternoon, and he could do that for a month, that's his business, right? He can do that. He may not see the results in his business he likes by doing that consistently, but he can do that. You guys get that? So the cool thing about real estate is its flexibility. The reason so many people don't make it is its flexibility. You guys get that? Okay. Teresa, we were just talking the other day, right? You got some project at your house or something like that. Anyway, you've had things and some family things, some things you needed to attend to that kept you away from your business. In fact, kind of kept it away from even your mind a little bit. And then now it's like, well, I gotta re-engage, right? That's kind of what you shared with me. What's that? Yeah, yeah. Forced engagement, right? Forced engagement. Hey, use Tuesday and Thursday, if nothing else, is forced engagement for your business. Those are two things that most people, if they put it on their appointment calendar, they will schedule around it. That's why when people are like, well, I was going to be on the mastermind call, but I had an inspection. Last I checked, we set the inspections, right? Has anybody ever said, hey, as buyer called you and said, we're doing inspections Thursday? Very seldom. It could happen. Most of us don't do it that way. Would you guys agree? You look at your calendar and you see what day works, and then you match it up with the inspector's calendar. Is that not how you do it? That's how Nanette does it. She sells a lot of houses. I highly recommend it. So don't let people get into the space that allows you to develop and establish and maintain your business. That's kind of where I'm going with that. I think if I've said it before, and I'll just keep saying this over and over again. If I could force everybody to just put a little bit of time in, we'll get a completely different outcome. More and more people. Tom and I had a beer the other day, and Tom's like, you know what? The more I talk, something like this. I'm paraphrasing. There's only one beer in at this point, which is all we had. It's lunch. Okay. I tried to go to two, but he wouldn't. But he's like, you know, the more I talk about it to people and just go belly to belly, the more good things happen. I'm like, that's what we've been saying forever. And it's happening, right? Who else said that? Somebody else said that to me the other day. I don't remember who it was. But they're just like, you know, there's something to this stupid triangle. You know, somebody literally said that. Like, the more people I talk to, you know, next thing I know, I've got all their contact numbers, and I didn't even know them from Adam 30 days ago. And now they're actually in my database. And if I continue to communicate with them, I have a likelihood of getting business from them when they buy, sell, or invest in real estate or refer people. Yeah, that's what we do. Okay. But if we sit here and try to hide behind texting and hide behind all these other things and don't have that personal engagement, it's going to be more difficult. Okay. Our top people in this office are belly to belly people. Okay. Tom O'Connor and I just had lunch, and then you were telling me about one-on-one meetings you're having with influential people. Okay. That's a good thing. In fact, one of your great deals, hey, come list me kind of thing, right? That's what I hear over and over again. But we're all trying to do anything in the world but going belly to belly with people. Jen?
One of my hardest things is, what do you talk to them about every month? You only ask them how the kids are so many times. If somebody like came to me every month, how's the kid? How's the kid? I would be like, okay, I'm done with you. Like,
Yeah.
you're annoying me right now. How do you not annoy people?
Yeah. Well, hopefully you build the kind of relationship where they look forward to your call. There's that. But an actual call, we're getting them on the phone quarterly is acceptable. And then you supplement it with some of the things we're getting ready to talk about in a second. So you don't necessarily have to be on the phone with them once a month. I would say this, the people that are at the top of your triangle, the real money in the relationship business, these people, they're your boys. They're your girls. They want to hear from you. Okay. So talking to them once a month should be very, very normal. The rest of the people that you don't have the advanced relationship with, that's where it would get really weird. Like, oh, this Jen girl's calling me again. She must be trying to sell something. Yeah, we're in the sales business. But these people, that should be very comfortable, even if you're calling them every 2 weeks. These are your people. These are the people that there's a 75% chance they're going to do business with you or refer you business. So that's the top of the food chain. It's the people down in here that feel so wonky even when you talk to them at all, if we're being perfectly honest. And you guys, us as an industry, we're okay with leaving all these families in this part of our relationship in our database. We're cool with it. We're just like, yeah, I know them. Okay. When's the last time you talked to them? When's the last time you sent them anything? When's the last time you did anything that looked like value? We'll talk about some of that here in a second for these people. So you could graduate them up to a higher probability of them using you to the highest probability of them using you. Okay. So we'll just use this. If this is my mom and dad, I'm going to go ahead and say if mom and dad, we did sell their houses, but if they had something to sell here, pretty good chance I'm going to get the business. You guys agree? Joanna might take it from me. She's got a lot of game, but I'm probably going to win. Okay. On that deal. So these are locks. The people that are up here they're looking for your call. The second they see your text, that sort of thing, you love all over them. How do I get these people to this category and eventually to this category? That's where the money is. Yeah. One more. Depends on the people. If I just sold somebody a house and I felt like there's a good relationship, I sort of look at it as this. If I'm doing my job from that point on, they deserve to be here if it's a good relationship. Okay. Does that make sense? If I stay with them and on them, there's a 75% chance that if they turned around in 2 years and sold, they're going to use me if I stay with them and stay on them. If I don't, if I just send them a Christmas card and a Royals calendar and stuff like that, they probably deserve to be realistic more down in here. And that's on me. I got the business from them. I just didn't retain the relationship. So somebody else slid in there. Okay. Ashley Dwyer with Reese Nichols, sweet lady. She's a gamer. She got a lot of game. If she meets that person, she's going to build a relationship with them. And I don't deserve to get the second piece of business from them because I didn't stay with the client. You guys do so much work to get the client and drag them across the finish line. Todd gave that great story of Jake and Ryan's deal, right? Okay. You do so much to do that and you get paid, and that's fantastic. Now, what am I going to do from here? Okay. Nanette and I I was in the database the other day and I just realized somebody we sold a house to in December. I didn't update anything in his database. I didn't have his new address, the house we sold him. I forgot to do it. Okay. Fortunately, I caught that. So it is a constant time on task over time if you want to do this relationship management thing at a high level. The more you talk to people, the more comfortable you'll be with it too. You learn how to introduce conversations. You learn how to ask open-ended questions and things like that will help you. So Brandy, you can tell by some of the initiatives we've launched in the last few months, it's like, how do we get more structure for our agents without clubbing them over the head like a baby seal? Okay, how do we get more structure knowing that structure, if I told somebody right now, okay, you made $40,000 last year, if you'll be structured and do the things we tell you for the next 2 years, 40 becomes 140, okay? They'd probably have to get back to me on it. I don't know, man. I don't know if I don't want that kind of structure. Really? I'm talking maybe 6, 8, 10 hours a week on your real estate business to go from 40 to 140. That is what you said you wanted, right? Yeah, but I don't know about the structure thing, okay? You guys, don't look at me. Don't look at me weird. That's how you guys are. Trust me. I get to talk to you one-on-one, and I hear what you guys say. So focus group, Brandy started that with a very small number of people that are starting to buy into, hey, the more I touch people, either via text, email, or God forbid, a phone conversation, the more that keeps coming back to me. Okay. You'll get these just out of the blue. You were just telling me about a story that somebody just called you, right? They saw your social media profile. The gal goes, hey, you look like you're my age and you're pretty cool. Come sell me a house. Okay. If you sit in this business and wait for that call, you won't be in this business. I can assure you. But when those come, they're really kind of nice. What Brandy told me is what also our coaches told us early on. The more activities I do, for some reason, things start coming to me in my world. Okay. It's just bizarre. Brandy, I'm trying to work with her and Caesar on getting them back thinking like real estate agents again. By the way, the more real estate they do, and they did a lot of real estate before, the more they do, the more experience they have, which means they can help you at a higher level. Win-win, right? Guess what's also happening? Brandy, first of all, dynamic personality. Would you guys agree? Dynamic. I mean, trust me, I've seen a lot of personalities. She's in the top tier. Now she doesn't even recruit agents anymore. She's attracting them. Does that make sense? Is there a difference? Okay. Yeah. Recruiter guy called me. Hey, Branson, we can say hello. You got to come to our company and work on the cloud. Awesome. That's recruiting. Or you can just tell people the success stories of the people you're affiliated with, and people are attracted to that. You guys get that difference? Totally different way of doing business. So and all these things are happening because of her making all these touches. Just things are starting to get some momentum, and she's just like, she's really excited about it. But she's just like, oh my gosh. There is something to this. And I'm just like, it's just the way things work. All right, let's talk about activities. So structure means, to me, structure is carving out time, but what am I going to do during that time? What in the heck am I going to do? Let's talk about 8 or 10 things that we need to all be thinking about. The most basic, by the way, if you don't have this and want this, you saw Brandy's activity tracker, did you not? Does anybody want or need one that didn't get one? Okay, they're up here. Okay. The only reason we have the activity tracker is if somebody wants to create structure really simply on a daily basis or just a weekly basis, this activity tracker will help you with that. And by the way, you can modify this 10 different ways. This is a work in progress. We're going to continue to tweak with this to create even more things to get more points on the effort you put in your business. So let's talk about the things that we can do. First of all, calls and check-ins and people in our database. Okay. That is real estate prospecting 101. Okay. And if you don't have a database, that's a different problem. It means we haven't touched enough people, but it's those check-ins with the people that are really, really important. And if you choose not to check in with them, that's a great choice, but somebody else is checking in with them. Okay. Sandy and I know a lot of the same people. Sometimes they pick her, sometimes they pick me. We laugh about it. We're not super competitive like that. Don't kill each other, by the way. But usually the one that does it at the highest level likely gets picked. Okay. So you can see why she kicks my butt. Pop buys. Who does pop buys? Oh, really? Good. We got more than I thought. Okay. Pop buys are a great thing. Stop by and see people at home, at work. Drop them a little something. Drop them a $5 Starbucks. Say, hey, how are you? That kind of stuff. People love that kind of stuff. It's personal. By the way, if you stop by somebody works over here at Country Club Bank, and you have to stop by and it's a former client of yours and she's at work, stop by, sit on her desk. Hey, just say, one of those, sometimes it's just that. But guess what? Guess what her coworkers are doing? Hey, who was that? Oh, that was Sandy Paxton. She's my real estate agent. She's so awesome. She brought you that? Yeah, that's just how she is. And once in a while, she just shows up with this big smile, best smile in the business, by the way. And she just brings me something. And then that person's thinking, my agent sold me a house. That Lonnie Branson, he just cashed a check. He didn't do anything, right? See how that works? Silas Gray sold me this $1 million house. I haven't heard from him, right? Huh? That's, to me, a pot. Jen just had a question. Is a pop by random? I think it's people you know, right? Would you guys agree? There's some kind of relationship. Otherwise, it could be a little creepy. A little creepy, all right? Jen's walking downtown, whatever, just handing out. Hey, by the way, some people can do that. Tim Crable, with his personality, he could door knock anywhere, okay? And no one's going to mace him or anything. But that's Tim, right? He's gregarious. He can just roll with the punches. No one, you could say a bad word to Tim and he would still be smiling, right? Just not me. Right? That's not me. Okay, let's talk about texting. You guys, because you're scared of the phone, even though we all have a phone sitting in front of us because you guys are on it all the time while I'm talking, you're not texting the right way. Okay, when we touch base with people via text, instead of, hey, how the kids, send me some business, okay? Ask open-ended questions. One of our seminars we just came from, they really emphasize that. And I'm like, oh, that's something we need to be talking about. Ask them questions that causes them to engage you back, okay? So if I send, let's just use an example, okay? First of all, somebody in my database just got back from the Bahamas, okay? Been in Bahamas, nice place, right? Okay, so I can like it, that's awesome. I can comment, looks like an amazing trip, or here's the secret sauce. I can say, wow, what an amazing trip. Do you mind me asking, did you prefer this over this? Or what did you think of, if you knew what hotel they were at or resort? What did you think of that resort? This is kind of on our bucket list. I hate that term, but it's on our list of places we would like to visit. Now, that's a person that probably feels obligated to respond. Would you agree? You asked a very detailed question versus just thumbs up, like, or smiley face, or any of that other stuff that's out there. That's a completely different kind of engagement. So when you are blocking off the time to do this, think about, did I just do an activity with this person that's going to cause them to engage me back? That's simple, okay? And then if they just engage you back with, yeah, it was cool. Okay, well, that's what was cool about it, all right? Right? What was cool about it, Tricia? Why was it cool? All right, was it cheap? Was it expensive? Was it a great pool? Good food? What was it about that made you like? You guys have to start thinking about that. We need to discuss that. Open-ended, yes, Nanette.
Later on, I'll go back in and say, how did you celebrate? And they, 9 times out of 10, they will respond back with how they celebrate.
Yeah. So a lot of you guys are putting your toe in the video thing, thanks to Paul, and thinking about people's growth and development and things like that. That's awesome. Look for other people to do that. If there's people that are in your sphere of influence and they're posting videos on whatever they do, engage them at a high level and they'll engage you back. It's a two-way street. So invest the time in that. Don't just sit there on the freaking Facebook and swiping people. Stop and focus on these people. These are the people in the world, in your world, that you have an expectation of providing you business. Are you just going to be okay with seeing what they're doing? Let's engage them at some kind of level. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. See, if you scratch your head here, we're going to call on you. No, you're fine. Then there's the things of value. Some of you guys are starting to do this, which I think is really, really cool. Provide things of value. Let's assume it's a current person that lives, that maybe you sold a house to. Maybe you haven't, but you know what subdivision they live in. And they live in Stonegate here in Raymore. Okay, great subdivision. How about every once in a while just going, hey, many of my clients have really started digging the fact that I've been sending data to them as far as the houses around them, knowing that most of them don't want to sell, but they're always curious at what things are selling for. Would you like me to do that for you? Okay. Almost everybody's going to say yes. Okay. Very seldom would anybody say no. So what do you do then? Well, then you got to actually do it. Sorry about that. That's the work part. But you could put them on our, when you guys put a buyer on a search, right? You can do that with a homeowner too, right? Just put Stonegate, Raymore, everything that's active, pending, and then they'll get this stuff just like they're a buyer for Stonegate of Raymore, right? And then show them that kind of thing. I like to do snapshots where I actually stop and do the work real quick. And I'll just go, hey, I know you guys aren't ready to sell, but I thought this Creekmore market's really starting to catch fire. Here's the last dozen or that sold in there. Hey, let me know if I can help with anything. Oh, right? That's just constantly coming at my people. And it works. And that takes me all of about 90 seconds. Okay. And by the way, in Brandy's system, I think I get a point for that. Okay. So if I'm doing that enough times, I can get to my 30 points by doing 30 of those, or 30 touches into my database. I can get to 30 points. There's not one person here, if they want to play this game properly, they can't hit 30 points. Has anybody even tried? Yeah. Is it possible to get to 30 points? Not always easy, I might add, especially when you get other distractions coming at you. I find I'm rocking and rolling, and then all of a sudden here comes a 90-minute booger in my day, okay? But the question is, will I get right back to it, or will I go on to something else? That's and start trading stocks or whatever else I might want to do. So neighborhood, anything about people's neighborhood. The house is their biggest asset. Why wouldn't they want to know the value of their asset? And by giving them data on what's going around them, that can depict what that might be. Does that make sense? Anybody do any of that stuff, or is it just me? Some? Yeah, Sandy, you do? It's really helpful. I like it for the people that I think are going to sell, especially people I think are going to sell in the next year or so. I'll just periodically lob one of those at them and go, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I know you guys are still a long ways out, but I've been watching the Creekmore market pretty close. I thought you guys might find these sales interesting. Lob them out there, see what comes back. That kind of stuff can be really good. Some people will go as far, this was mentioned in one of our meetings the other day, in annual CMA. You create an offer to them of value saying, hey, would you like an annual market analysis of your home? If so, I'll work on one for you. And by the way, that doesn't have to be brain surgery. That's just you putting comps together on their house, talk about a range. Hey, I know you guys aren't selling, but right now this data would leave me between the 450 and 500 range.
On the Navy, and then here's what the market looking like there. I'm sure you can get more ribs, bro. Yeah, they got a U-Haul, like got all your stuff out. Then they call it.
Yeah, that's how it works. Guys, these are the activities of high producing real estate agents. Now, if somebody's got a big team and they're real high producing, they may be outsourcing this. They may be paying people $40,000 a year to do a lot of this heavy lifting for them. But I will tell you, some of the guys here in Kansas City that I know that run at a high level, there's 2 hours a day, nobody gets in their space, and they're banging out this stuff themselves. They want those touches. David Van Noy, if you guys ever done business with David, hair on fire, does a lot of business, crazy, but sharp, really sharp. He hires out a lot of things, but he will not hire out this. This is him. This is where he earns his keeps. That's why he has a big, successful business. Handwritten notes. Is anybody doing any handwritten notes and cards? Okay, well, that's easy. Those things are relatively cheap. They're extremely personal. I highly recommend doing that. Chris Bradley's out here. She's a queen of handwritten notes. I just told Amber the other day, please order another thing of handwritten notes. What a great way for somebody that's in your database that your ease of conversation, remember we talk about that, gets easier and easier the higher they are in the pyramid. Okay, with these people, just like I can pick up the phone and just start rapping, right? These good, but sometimes a little wonky. Here, how do I even get the conversation started? Okay, what a great way to start getting it started with just a handwritten note. Okay, yeah, I don't know if I want to pick up the phone and call the Johnsons because I'm scared of the phone, just like Lonnie said. But I'll send them a note, right? Send them a note and just say, God, the Bahamas trip looked amazing. You mind if I follow up with you soon? I may follow up with you soon because we're thinking about going as well. Okay. Now you just send a handwritten note they're gonna see your phone call after that and they'll be cool with it. You guys get that? It's an icebreaker. Okay. That's one way to use handwritten notes. How do you guys use them? Who's doing them? Okay. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, bad stuff happens to all of us at all times. Think about the sympathy piece of just being a good person. Okay. Those sorts of things. We have a client, young, going through some tough stuff, and we stopped and sent very, very personal things to her, not just a gift basket and flowers. No, it was what was said. That's where the value is with that family. Yes. Yeah. Does anybody know the answer to that? Because I don't. Yeah. There's a threshold of supposedly closing gift you're not supposed to go above and all that. Yeah. I'm not aware of anything. That's a good ask Darren that question so we can watch him squirm when he's sitting here next week. I don't know the answer, and there's sometimes I'm not looking for permission. I'm just going to do what I want to do, right? Yeah. So let's talk about that. That part I can talk about because that's in our world. So we just had somebody refer us a deal over the weekend, right? Annette? Yes, thank you. Good, good. And those people were referred by somebody else. So the referrals, the chain can keep going. You guys get that? That's where the money is. These people just referred us, and I told Annette, hey, remind me to talk to this gentleman and thank him for the referral. Okay. Because I'll forget. I know me, I'll forget. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take a chance. I'm going to forget. So I just stopped literally while we were talking and sent him a text going, dude, thank you so much. We will take such good care of these people, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm going to send him something too. He'll get a Starbucks card or something like that. I may even make a note. Hey, if you guys are looking for Royals tickets, always keep me in mind, that kind of stuff. But we're going to acknowledge it right out of the gate. Now, if those people didn't ever buy anything or didn't qualify, the system is exactly the same. Okay. Todd takes them in there and says, hey, these people can't buy for years, right? But it was a client thought of us enough to send us a referral. We want to reward the behavior. You guys heard that term? Reward the behavior. Reward it right away with something. First of all, a courtesy, thank you, and be genuine with that. It's important.
I do AM cards.
Yeah. Yeah. Two more concepts. Be the resource for all things. If you want to be looked at as a realtor, that's fantastic. I want to be looked at as a realtor, but I also want to be sure we're the people that our people are calling for just about everything. Okay. We travel a lot. So guess what they call about all the time? Travel, right? Well, hey, who's your travel agent? If we don't get that a million times, it's good though, right? Builds relationship, drives people up into our pyramid, up into that category. But we want to be there for the other stuff too. Like, hey, I'm having a problem with my foundation. I don't trust these guys that are on TV. Who would you suggest? Okay, to me, that's somebody who trusts you at a high level. They're going to reach out with one of the biggest problems they can have on their home. Of course, it's a home you sold them, so you kind of feel like, sold a bad house. But no, these things happen, right? Houses aren't perfect. But nonetheless, be that resource. But if you don't tell them you're that resource, they won't look at you as that resource. So you have to explain to them, hey, it's not uncommon for people to reach out to me, Amber and I, for just about anything, that has to do with anything. Don't hesitate to call us. We literally have plumbers, electricians, roofers on speed dial. Okay. So that kind of thing. And then guess what? When they have one of those needs or problems, that's who they're going to contact us. And that touch is just building more and more rapport and more touches. And Brandy gives me a point for that. Right.
That's even more important for your first-time buyers and you're relocating people who don't know anybody in the area.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. How many people come into this area? They don't know anything, right? I just helped a kid who's building an insurance company, with a commercial lease. I don't really do commercial leases. There's no money in it, by the way, unless you do big ones. But this kid I could tell he didn't know anything. He was never going to get this done or somebody was going to take advantage of him. I felt kind of bad. I went ahead and did it. But you think that guy is going to be kind of like, hey, if anything about real estate comes up, I guess my name's probably near the top, right? It should be for all the work I did and got no money. But that's all right. Let's see. Put on my glasses. I have one more really good one. Talked about open-ended. What's that? Thank you. This could be a good one. Oh, client events. Okay. Client events. There's a couple different client events. Obviously, we did the barn party client. Okay. I was on a scale 1 to 10 as far as it was good, thought it was good. But how did we utilize it as a team? I would give us a 5. Okay. I think a lot more of our agents should have embraced that and leveraged that into their businesses more than they did. And a lot of them said, oh, crap, I've missed the boat here. Okay. That's good. I want to hear that. Yeah, I missed the boat on that. I should have looked at that whole thing differently. So the next one, what'll happen is we'll probably need a bigger venue because now all of a sudden instead of 300, we're going to end up with 600 people. That's usually how that goes. But client events can be small. I highly recommend them be very personal. Okay. Certain people, especially the top of the food chain, it shouldn't be weird to go grab a beer, a glass of wine, or a latte, or whatever people like these days. That should be just normal course of, or ice cream.
I know a few agents here have done client events at my ice cream shop, and they've done really good stuff.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So,
Good idea.
yeah, when you is you like more than like not just one-on-one, then like a group.
Oh, no,
Perfect. On the square, Harrisonville. If you haven't been there, it's a cool place. Really, really cool. Yes.
Like, I pass by, start, it looks nice for her, because you've got at least a little area to be made, right? And it's something easy, if that's going to buy, they're gonna be coming and Jordan us tomorrow night at the brewery, and it's just the easy time, I can pop out, give people a drink of beer.
Perfect.
You don't have to pay for their stuff either.
Yeah,
You just beat them up.
I like that. So, all right. So the aha here, guys, is that no matter, you're going to just continue to hear it. I don't know what else. If you guys sit one-on-one with Brandy and me and different people and saying, hey, I'm here and I want to go to here. That's your audio because you just said that. But then what's happening is your activities, the video of what we see doesn't always match. You guys get that? You hear the term audio and video don't match. And by the way, that's most common. So you're in the norm if that's the case. So we're just trying to help goose you along to get you into some kind of system that does work for you to move that needle a little bit further and a little bit faster. Is that okay? Not trying to be mean. By the way, we don't have to do any of this. We could be the broker who just says, hey, we're making a lot of money. Let's keep rolling, right? And just go with that. Instead, we want to see these people go from here to here to here. Just in this room right now, there's at least 10 people that sat in that chair in my office when they just started. Okay. And some of you guys now have real legitimate businesses. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because you were kind of intentional in what you did. I hope we had maybe a little bit to do with it, but I love that. I mean, I remember Nathan Priest when he didn't have anything, and Scott Swaggart when he didn't have anything, and Ryan Finn when he didn't have. I remember all those people. It was pretty cool. And Tori Richmond when she first got started. All these folks. So we want you to be on that list. Silas before he had $1 million car, right? What's it called again? That car? McLaren. Before he had a McLaren. Raise your hand if you have a McLaren. Just Silas, yeah. No, but you guys let us know what we can do. Sometimes one-on-one with Brandy, Caesar, Darren. Sometimes one-on-one is the best way for us to chat. Just let it. We'll carve out the time to try to help you, but you got to help yourself. At some point, you got to hear what we're saying, and you got to say, well, that worked for him. That worked for Silas. That worked for Nathan Priest, but it doesn't work for me. That worked for Shelby, Rookie of the Year, but it doesn't work for me. Yeah, it does. You guys need more flipping structure. Flipping, good word.